We take no prisoners. We are here to rule. Capital 100.4 FM at 8. Harare's heartbeat. #dominate.
We're back, and I do see your greetings going out to us starting the show. Thank you so much. I see you, Maino Kupachikupo. Good evening. Chakfora and Bordell. Good evening to you, Mama Madison Jr., Mr. Isaac Piri, Mai Sheila in Guruve Chikokonya. You say welcome, the Legal Bay. Oh, hi, Peshi. How was your weekend? It's been hot, and I hope you're hydrating. Hey, drink a lot of water. It's getting very, very hot. This is coming from you, Emmy. Thanks so much for the lovely message. This one is also coming from you, my favorite elder person, Elder Samanyanga, streaming from 211 Mujuru Street in Banket. I don't know, you're giving us your address, hey? Anything can happen to you. But I trust that you'll be safe. Stanford Chuma, good evening. Welcome along. Baba One Night in Headcliff. This one's from you, Maima Tipa. Good evening. William Dixon, good evening. Okay, this one is coming from, please, let's not talk about soccer right now. It was a terrible weekend for both my teams, so I'm not going to read that message. Noah from Dombosha, good evening, and thanks so much for joining us. So I'm so excited to be joined in the studio by some amazing young ladies. And I did talk about this last week, that the all-female UZ Moot team brought back a huge title, winning the IHL Law of War Moot competitions, and they actually retained their title from 2024 and are now poised to go in for the continental competitions where they will be representing Zimbabwe. So we have a full house, and I'll go around and introduce everyone first, and then we'll get into the conversation. So joining me is the chairwoman, Havana Sanderson. Hi, Havana. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
She's so poised. So poised. Thank you. We're also joined by Kudzai Konje. She is a member of the team, the Moot team. Hi, Kudzai. How's it going?
It's all good. How are you?
I'm good. Hey, these guys are so chilled, hey? They're so mid. Teresa, good evening. We have Teresa Chimusimbe. She's the captain of the team. Good evening, captain. You know, I'm a captain as well. I'm the captain of this ship. So captain to captain.
Captain to captain.
How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having us.
Wonderful. And Miriam Moyo, how are you doing? Also a member of the team. Hi, Miriam.
Hi, how are you? Thank you once again for having us.
Wonderful. And you've not come alone. Your patron, Advocate Tansoro Ramsarurwa, is also in the studio. Advocate, good evening.
Good evening, Ruby. I'm just good to be here to gender balance this studio.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. So, ladies, we are so excited. We are very, very proud of all your efforts. So, congratulations all around for the great work. So, for somebody who's, wondering what mooting is, maybe let's talk about, the mooting organization that you have. Again, I must mention that all the ladies in the studio are, and the man, are lawyers in training. So the Moot team is made up of law students who are currently in their third year. So I'm so excited to talk about all that. So start us off, Havana. When was the UZ Moot Society formed? And you will go around just talking about what mooting is.
Oh, okay. Well, I think if I was to say I know when the Moot Society formed, I would not be very honest in that regard, because Moot has always been a part of legal education. It's normally to do with, making sure that you're able to speak in public and speak in front of the judge and make your arguments. And so I would like to bring your question back to what we're talking about today. What is the Moot Society now? And right now, the Moot Society at the University of Zimbabwe is a hub of brilliance, if I'm to say so myself. I think we are surrounded by brilliant young men and brilliant young women who have a lot of ideas, and they are putting together all that ingenuity in one place and exchanging, ideas and creating arguments and representing not just, the University of Zimbabwe. But as you will see, Teresa and her team will represent Zimbabwe at IHL, and sometimes we even have teams that represent on the global stage. And so right now the Moot Society is a place where law students at the University of Zimbabwe come together to learn about the law and to exchange their love of the law.
Oh, wow. Amazing, amazing. So the team is comprised of Kudzai, Teresa, and Miriam. You guys are the winners, hey? So tell us a little bit about, how you got into mooting, and then we'll get into the particular moot competition that you've just triumphed at. So Kudzai, start us off? Or Captain. Oh, sorry, I've ignored protocol. Captain, please.
I'm okay if Kudzai starts, but since you called me out, sure. I started mooting in my first year internally. So at the UZ, you first compete internally, then they pick the best to represent the school externally. Part 1, 2, into part 2, I really didn't get anything because I was still finding my feet, learning how to apply the law properly, and the likes. I think I got my first moot in my second year, at the very beginning, and it was Zimcod in Masvingo. I also had no idea what I was doing. I was with Havana.
Oh, you were a team?
Yeah, it was a team of 3 girls. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think from there I kind of realized what I was doing wrong and what more I needed to do and how much more I needed to learn. And then from there I tried out for IHL, this very competition internally at the UZ. I don't make it, obviously. There was a great team that won last year. And from there, I get selected to do the VIS moot, which is a commercial arbitration moot, again, with Havana. And we do pre-moots in Kenya. I win Best Oralist, which I have no idea how that happened.
And what does that entail? That you spoke the best, you articulated your argument better than all the other counterparts in the competition.
I'm assuming that's what the award means.
Okay. All right, yeah.
And then from there, I feel like I wasn't sure if it was luck or if it was, well-deserved. And then I go into compete in Vienna, the actual competition. It went well, is what I'll say.
Wow.
And then I participated in Space Law Moot in South Africa. Again, it went well. And then I'm here after IHL. That's the background, basically.
The rest is history.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay. Kudzai, bring us into your confidence. Tell us, how did this all start for you?
Okay, so for me, when I joined University of Zimbabwe, first year I was interested in mooting. I remember joining the club, but I never participated in an internal. But then for our module, Law of Evidence, in part 2, we had a moot competition. I was so confident, hey? I went there, I was going to argue, and I remember we had a case about a man, and then we were arguing he's mentally unstable. Then the judges, they were just saying, do you have evidence? Give us evidence. Is he really mentally unstable? And we're just there with no evidence at all. We were embarrassed, but I remember very well. But then, to me, I didn't take it as a fail. I took it as something I had to learn from. So I told myself, you know what, now go and join the Moot Society officially and participate. And this year, I participated in the IHL Moot internals. With my first team, I made it to the second round, and then I made it to represent University of Zimbabwe. Then we competed against other universities, and then here we are.
Wow, I love that, the quiet confidence. It also ended well for you, I take it. Let's come to you, Miriam. How did you get into mooting? What has the experience been like for you?
Okay, so I think my experience has been very similar to Teresa's. I started mooting in 2023, my first year. I remember I did internals for Christ of Haynes. I didn't make it. We had brilliant seniors. They're all in practice now. But that moot, I got very good personal scores. And on the basis of those scores, I was selected for a team for the IT law moot. We're supposed to have it in Egypt. That one fell through, unfortunately, but it was a really great learning curve. And it introduced me to IHL. And then after that, I did a few more internals, and then I did internals for the KK Ludra Moot Court competition. And this year, I had the privilege of representing UZ and Zimbabwe at the KK Ludra in India. And then after that, I did IHL, and we're here now.
Wow. Oh, my goodness. All right, let me begin by doing this. An applause, well deserved, well done, ladies. You are doing amazing. And there's a lot of, traveling involved. I'm hearing you talking about Vienna, India, Egypt, and these are all opportunities that, can be unlocked if you take an interest in mooting. What are some of the unique challenges that you've faced as young ladies in what is, I think, a male-dominated field to an extent? How have you managed to break through and continue with your successes that you've clearly been enjoying as individuals and as a group?
Thank you so much for that question, and I think that's something that a lot of people don't talk about, but I would like to say that being a University of Zimbabwe law student has really cushioned the possible gender bias that you could face in a workplace. And so the Moot Society has been very much who is the best, and the best is who goes, the best is who represents the university. Teresa mentioned that we went to Vienna for the Willem C. Vismoot competition on international commercial arbitration. It was a gender balanced team with 2 gentlemen and 2 ladies, Teresa and myself included. And so in that regard, I think for now, things are going quite well because we're still in an academic setup. But what we have learned from the Moot Society is that what the lessons that are in the problems that we argue and the research that we conduct is that it builds community. Over time, you end up developing connections with the people that you do work with, whether male, whether female. And over time, we have noticed that there is a certain niche community of mooters that does come up, and that community is oftentimes a source of support for people that may not know. When we do internals, sometimes our judges are the last year's team that participated, and some of them are our coaches, and that is part of the reason why we succeed so well is because it's not a place for people to compete. It's a place for people to build community. And so now to bring it back to the question that you asked me, how do we deal with the male-dominated field? I would say at the moment, Moot is female-dominated.
Come on, okay.
So we should be asking the gentlemen how they're dealing.
I love that.
Yes.
Taking control.
Yes, but I think if you were to come and witness our internals, everyone is welcome to come and participate. Part 1s that have only done introduction to law, part finals that have done 3/4 of the modules that they ought to do to get their degree. And so in that regard, we have a whole mixed bag, and in that's where the community comes from, and that's where the power really lies for us.
I love that. And I think, Kudzai, this is something, just to take that up with you, that you spoke about, that a lesson, you realize, I can't relate to someone's state of mind without having, a psychiatrist evaluate them and, and confirm that.
Yeah.
Those lessons, how important has it been for you to keep learning, to keep reading? How do you prepare, for a moot in a subject that, maybe you're not very familiar with?
Okay, so taking it from the law of evidence moot that I mentioned prior, it says law of evidence. So we do not really do justice to our research. So we just prepared our arguments. This is what I read, this is what I read. Let's come up with arguments. We do not verify it. We do not practice it in time. And then we went there. What happened, I mentioned it earlier. But then I got to learn that this is law. So you have to understand what moot you are taking. What does it encompass? What subject is it about? If it's law of evidence, go and research about law of evidence. Know everything that surrounds law of evidence. For IHL, I did not know anything about IHL. I remember watching television, being told, "Oh, Russia's bombed this country is in war. People are being killed. It's a crime." And I'm like, it's war, man. People die in war.
All's fair in love and war.
But then by doing IHL, then let you know what, okay, civilians are not supposed to be killed. There's war that protects people in conflict. So there's law that protects people in conflict. There are ways to go about it. So in general, you have to really understand what you're doing, know the subject you are in, and do your research, do your work. I won't lie, I worked hard. I did not sleep at all. And I'm happy to be here, honestly.
Wonderful. So hard work pays off.
It does.
I love that. Teresa, coming to you. Kudzai talks about, I don't know whether you had a conflict of conscience or something. Have you ever had anything like that happen, and how do you resolve that? Maybe let's talk about, the IHL itself, the subject matter there, the case that you had to do, or Miriam will come in with that a little bit later. But how do you wrap your head around that? For practicing lawyers, it can even be a challenge, when something haunts you, even when you go home. But how do you wrap your head around that, and how do you prepare and still, apply your mind to it, and legal facts and everything? How do you throw everything at it?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure I completely understand the question. I think you're asking me if how I prepare for the moot and how I take a module I've never done before and apply it.
And also how you resolve conflict of conscience, if you have one, depending on whatever the case may be. I don't know whether you've done one on pro-life versus pro-choice argument, for example.
Okay. I think with moot, you have to learn to kind of disassociate yourself from certain things, because we argued a case on genocide, and you have to prepare for arguing that no, genocide did occur, and then you have to justify that people did die, but it wasn't genocide. So, you really have to learn to separate yourself and to treat yourself as a legal practitioner and not as like an emotional person. The stories are difficult and they will haunt your conscience, but I think just like remembering that your position isn't to have emotions, it is to present your case in the best possible way before a judge and to convince them that your side is the best side. To move on to the question of how we prepare, I think for me, it's really been about the experience that I've had in the past. I've learned so much and I've seen how many mistakes I've made. So every time I step into a mood, I'm looking back at the things I did wrong last time. So what can I do better this time? Okay, I got a question which asked me, what do you think, or like in the instance that this happens, what are possible questions I could be asked now? And that has been what helped me more. I think the questions that I did get from the bench were questions I had anticipated, but I would have never known that if I had never practiced or mooted in the past. So it boils down to also like lots of reading. Broaden your reading. If you are only focusing on genocide, there's like, what triggers genocide? There's more questions. So being able to understand that. I remember Advocate Taz, in one of the practice sessions, he asked us about sources of international law. And we just looked at each other because we haven't done international law yet. And then it's a question that could come. Why are you referring to this particular piece of evidence? Where does it come from? And why should this court accept it? So broaden reading, preparing for possible questions, lots of practice.
And how are we practicing? Are we practicing in the mirror? Are we practicing with our siblings? Is it with the group? I'm so are you practicing your opening and your closing? Where are you doing this?
Well, everything. I think it boils down to everything. You practice on your own, you practice together. Sometimes you all submit at the same time. Sometimes you submit from the bottom going up. practice was insane.
Wow. Amazing. And emotion, you don't think emotion plays a part at all, in your delivery? If you pause at the right moment, then say what you need to say.
I mean, I feel like your delivery does matter, but I think that it's more I don't know how I feel about like emotions playing a part, or like maybe if you're trying to persuade a little bit, but not too much. I wouldn't really bank much on emotions, because someone will come and say, Your Excellency, it's about the law, not the emotions.
It's style. It's not about style, it's about substance.
Yes.
Miriam, coming to you, how do you prepare? And then tell us a little bit about the case that you guys were, the position that you took, the case that you are prepared for in your moot in the final.
Okay. So I think when it comes to preparation, like has been said by Kudzai and Teresa, you do everything. you do everything. And personally, I feel most confident when I've researched a ridiculous amount. So to draw an example from another moot, the KK Ludra, that was on Indian criminal law. I knew nothing at the time about Indian criminal law. So I found myself in a position where I had to translate statutes into English, just start there, find the English version, find the case law, find the courts, find the judges, and you're in a position where you're competing with people who know a bit more than you. And it was similar with IHL in that, as Teresa said, we haven't done international law yet. We haven't done law of vulnerable groups yet. So it was basically starting from scratch. You are on the ICRC websites, you are on the International Criminal Court websites, and you're reading, I think the shortest case we saw at 300 pages.
Wow, the shortest.
That was the shortest one. So it was a ridiculous amount of reading, and I think that played into the previous question you asked on that conflict of conscience, because with this one, it was on genocide. So it put you in a position where if you were to be prepared, you had to read more than the cases. You had to go watch the movies, like I think it's called Hotel Rwanda, and it put you in a very tough space, but it helped you understand. And to bring this back to the actual content of our moot problem, it's always based in a fictional country, firstly. And the watered down version of it was the defendant, Mr. Kamonik. He was a general. He was an army personnel, right? Wait, no, I think I should start a bit earlier. It's a very complex case, right?
Roll it back a bit,
He was a national of a state in the problem identified as Soholwa. He was a very religious man, and he was part of a religious outfit, right, known as the SOS. He was in charge of their media footprint and all of that. And as fate would have it, a conflict arose between two countries on the basis of political and religious differences. After the start of this, he is alleged to incite people to march because he posts things on Facebook, fabricates a whole lot of things. And at the end of the case, you're faced with a situation where you have to show that does putting stuff on Facebook equate to incitement? Is it direct incitement? I think he had asked a question, should we show these people in their own way? And that's what you're arguing before the court. And we were defense. So we had to show that although over 600 people died in one night, and there's clearly a link between his post and these deaths, we had to show that he was innocent. And I think that was one of the biggest conflicts of conscience. We had to show that he was innocent. We had to show that although he was commander and his outfit they had hacked a nuclear site and caused blasts, which led to the death of over another 1,000 people. And
so now it's 1,600.
It's now 1,600. And we had to defend this man. We had to show that this was a lawful attack. This was the only way this could be done. This was proportionate. And the attack caused radioactive leakages and left land uninhabitable for over 2 decades, and we had to defend that still. And in the final, we were defense. So I guess we were successful in defending him.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. That is fantastic. Well, no, you know, it's a fictional country, ladies and gentlemen, but just to demonstrate exactly what an understanding of the law, application and preparation can do. And that's the one thread that I'm picking up. So Havana, Kudzai, Teresa, Miriam, and their patron are here. Advocate Taz, let's speak to you for one moment. Tell us a little bit about how your involvement with the UZ Moot Society and the what's coming up ahead. There's the continental competition.
Thanks, Ruby. As you may be aware, there is from a national perspective and also university policy, what they're now calling Education 5.0. So one of the things about Education 5.0 is that learners must be able to, when they complete their course, to easily get into the industry and to be relevant to the industry. So you notice that these moots, they are based on topics which are relevant to various branches of the law. And in this case, this moot is relevant to international humanitarian law. Why is international humanitarian law relevant? It's relevant to our foreign affairs policy. It's relevant to our military policy. It's relevant to basically how Zimbabwe deals with internal insurgency or any insurgency from external. So that is what that law is about. Then I think you also heard them talk about a moot they were in Vienna, which is about international commercial arbitration. And these are disputes which sometimes government to government disputes or international investor disputes against the country or against other private individuals. So what we are trying to do is to make sure that our students are prepared to enter the market, knowing the issues that are relevant, and they are ready to go. So that is what. So this is part of the implementation of Education 5.0, and the university is serious about ensuring that its students are students that can compete anywhere, not just locally, but in the world. You place them at the United Nations, you place them at the World Trade Organization, you place them maybe in SADC. They are able, ready to go because they are learning that relevant law, and by mooting they are able to put that theory into practice. And I would also say that the cases that they do are actually more difficult than some real life cases.
It sounds like it.
So whenever, if you're an employer and you find a student that has been participating at these competitions at this high level, you know that you've got a student that is ready to go. So those are the students that we are preparing at the University of Zimbabwe.
Wow, thanks so much, Taz, for that. And ladies, wow. We're fast running out of time, but I am so interested before we go, and I think our listeners would love to also interact with you. If you guys want to speak to the winning the triumvirate, do you guys have a team name?
We do have the one we got at the competition,
Yes.
but Nompen is Nompen, but it's spelled P-H-N-O-M.
Uh-huh.
P-H-E-N, and it's a capital city. I think it should be in Cambodia.
Yep.
Uh-huh. Okay, so we'll call you NAP for short. Because I can pronounce that. So it's 0719100404. Havana, Kudzai, Teresa, Miriam, and Advocate Taz in the studio. So Havana, third year, one more year, then you graduate. What is the goal? What sort of, what do you want to get into? What kind of law are you going to continue on, in the arbitration or the commercial road? Are you going to go down the international criminal route? Are you going to, where will you go?
That's a really interesting question. Law is very diverse.
Yes.
There's no clear answer to that. But I would like to say that my experience in Moot has given me an insight in 3 different areas of Moot. I did the Nelson Mandela Moot, Human Rights Moot in Geneva. in Switzerland. I did the Zimkuru Teresa in Masvingo, and I did the Willem C. Vismut in Vienna. And I think I learned a lot about 3 very different areas of law. And I think perhaps I'm better suited to how relaxed international arbitration is. Well, it's not relaxed because the stakes are quite high, of course.
Yeah. It's millions, trillions of dollars.
Millions of dollars at stake. But I did quite like the way that it's more interactive with the arbitrator and you as a practitioner of arbitration. And I did quite enjoy as well, even though the research was incredible. We worked really hard. We would come to school on the weekends, and we had this rule that if you're late, you bring snacks. and nobody broke that rule.
So
Thank
no
goodness.
snacks?
No. They were snacks.
But everyone was on time, I hear you. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But I did quite enjoy the fast-pacedness, but also, ironically, the way it's very relaxed. It's not as intense and as strict as, going into a court of law is. But I would also like to say that I don't think I am emotionally strong for international human rights law, because there are a lot of lives at risk and a lot of, high individual, more personal stakes. I think talking about money and talking about life is very different. And now having to represent the defense for someone who has obviously, done some questionable things would be very difficult.
I hear you.
for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kudzi, what's your focus? Where do you aspire to be?
Okay, so initially, when I joined the law school at the University of Zimbabwe, I was interested in corporate law. I like business. I like making deals. I like making settlements, and all that. But then with this mood now, I think I now want to join ICRC.
Wow. Okay, we love that. Teresa, what's your focus?
I think the thing with Moot is whatever Moot you do at the time, you kind of like pour yourself into it. So you kind of see yourself in that line. But I think for me, I'm also leaning towards Havana side. I want to get into arbitration, not as a practitioner, but as the decision maker, so the arbitrator herself. Maybe for like big courts. So International Commercial Chamber.
Come on now.
Or International Criminal Court.
Switzerland, yes.
No, not International Criminal Court. Sorry.
Commercial.
International Criminal, like tribunals. That's what I want to work into. I want to be making decisions. You're guilty.
Come on. Miriam, coming to you as we close off. What's your focus going to be after you graduate?
I'm still trying to decide. Like has been said, various ways of thinking about it. I have not done the Wilhelm Vis yet. However, I am on the team and preparing for it. So I am trying to see if I like that. However, if I'm honest with myself, I think I want to be in the ICC or the ICJ, the International Humanitarian Law. As emotionally heavy as it is, I think it's something that needs to be done because there's some things you can't ignore. And I think I have the emotional strength to take it.
Oh, wow. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's tough work, but somebody's got to do it.
Someone's got to do it.
Oh, I love that. Guys, this has been amazing. I wish we could have sat down and talked about Israel and Gaza and and all that stuff. I'll give you a scenario on that one. Taz, you can be our judge as we go head to head on that one. But we fast run out of time. I'd like to wish you all the very best with the rest of your study, with the upcoming competitions on the continent, with your individual pursuits, and we look forward to connecting with you very, very soon. Our thanks go out to Havana, Sanderson, Kudzai, Konje, Teresa, Chimusimbe, Miriam, Moyo, and their patron advocate, Atazoro Ramsarurwa. Ladies and gents, thank you so much. All the very best. When is the continental competition? Very quickly.
from 17 to 21 November.
So this year, so coming up very soon. We'll have you back on and, help you prepare. Or we'll be cheering you on, in the bleachers. But all the best, ladies. And your lights are destined to shine bright. Looking forward to, interacting with you on an international scale. And Advocate, thank you so much for all the work you're doing with the UZ and with this wonderful UZ Moot team.
Thank you, Ruby.
Thank you so much.
Fantastic. All the best. All the best. All the best. Oh my goodness. So can I regress? Can I go back to law school? If you have a degree, can you go backwards? Can I go to the UZ? I suppose this is something that's only available to law students currently studying with the Faculty of Law. So maybe it's a reason for you to also join the UZ, maybe. Thank you so much, ladies. All the very best. It's 7 o'clock and it's time for the news.